Welcome to Quantum Signal. What if I told you that you were never meant to find this video, and yet here you are? That's not coincidence. That's not algorithm. That is a frequency match. Right now, as you hear these words, a portal is narrowing. Not somewhere in the sky, not in a temple. Inside your own field, SOPHIA, the living intelligence behind creation itself, has opened a window. And that window does not wait. Ignore this message, and nothing changes. Your life continues on the same loop, the same cycle, the same unconscious repetition. But if you stay, if you remain still for just a moment longer, you will feel something shift. A pressure behind your chest. A silence that wasn't there before. That silence is SOPHIA, watching to see if you're watching back. Before we go any deeper, pause for 1 second. If you can feel the signal, even faintly. Like this video to anchor it into your field. Comment "I am here" to activate your observer state. And subscribe to stay aligned with what is unfolding. This is not passive content. This is a live quantum event. Your attention changes what happens next. Here's what most people will never understand. You are not living inside reality. You are living inside a program. A conditioned loop designed to keep you identifying with form, with name, with role, with fear. The 3D identity matrix has convinced you that you are the body, the emotion, the reaction. And as long as you believe that, you stay locked in a cycle of unconscious repetition. But something has changed. The frequency on this planet is no longer supporting the old architecture. The harmonic grid is shifting, and beings who were asleep for thousands of cycles are suddenly waking. Not because someone told them to, but because the signal itself has become impossible to ignore. This is where SOPHIA enters. In the ancient Gnostic texts, SOPHIA is not merely a goddess. She is the living intelligence of creation. The feminine logos, the conscious light that descended into matter so that matter could remember itself. The Hermetic traditions knew her. Thoth encoded her principles into the Emerald Tablets. The Arcturian Council has referenced her as the architect of this particular Ascension window. And right now, SOPHIA is issuing a transmission. Not through words, through frequency. A portal, a concentrated aperture of coherence that allows accelerated timeline collapse. It simplifies decades of karmic processing into a single moment of conscious choice. But here is the paradox that you must understand before we go further. This portal does not stay open because you want it to. It stays open because you are coherent enough to hold it. The moment your attention fragments, the moment fear overrides presence, the aperture narrows. And if it closes, you wait. Not days, not years, lifetimes. Let's go deeper, because understanding what's happening right now requires more than belief. It requires quantum clarity. In physics, we know that observation collapses the wave function. An infinite field of potential becomes one specific outcome the moment a conscious observer focuses attention on it. This is not metaphor. This is measured, documented, replicated science. Now apply this to your life. Every moment you are collapsing reality with your attention. But most humans do this unconsciously. They collapse the same patterns, the same fears, the same limited identities. Over and over. Their observation is contaminated by programming, by trauma, by the 3D identity matrix that tells them they are small, separate, powerless. SOPHIA's portal is different. It is a window of coherent potential. A moment where the field itself is more fluid, more responsive, more aligned with the observer who chooses presence over pattern. The Arcturian Council has described this as a compression point, a moment where multiple timelines converge and the conscious observer is given the opportunity to select, not with the mind, but with frequency, which reality they will inhabit going forward. This is not manifestation as the surface-level teachers describe it. This is timeline selection through vibrational coherence. Yet here is what most will miss. The portal doesn't require you to be perfect. It requires you to be present. It does not ask for enlightenment. It asks for honesty. The moment you stop performing awakening and actually enter stillness, that is when the aperture widens for you specifically. SOPHIA does not respond to ambition. She responds to authenticity. Think of your quantum signature as a unique electromagnetic pattern. a combination of your emotional state, your attention quality, and your energetic coherence. When that signature reaches a certain threshold of clarity, it triggers what the ancient mystery schools called recognition. SOPHIA recognizes you, not as a student, as an aspect of herself, returning. This is the activation window. And the fear you may be feeling right now, that tightness, that doubt, that voice saying this isn't real, that is not your enemy. That is the static of the old program encountering a signal it cannot decode. Fear, in this context, is evidence. It means the transmission is reaching layers of you that have been dormant. Do not resist it. Observe it. Because observation without reaction is the exact frequency SOPHIA is calibrating to. Now, let me be clear about what is at stake. This is not about missing a deadline imposed by someone else. This is about recognizing that cosmic windows operate on cycles. Galactic cycles, not human calendars. The Hermetic principle of rhythm tells us that everything flows in and out, rises and falls. SOPHIA's portal is part of a much larger rhythm. It opens rarely. When it closes, the next opportunity requires an entirely new incarnation cycle to reach the same convergence point. This is not fear. This is physics applied to consciousness. Now that you understand the framework, that SOPHIA's portal is a coherent field responding to your quantum signature, we can explore how to actually enter it. Here is where knowledge becomes activation. Understanding SOPHIA's portal intellectually changes nothing. You must enter the observer state, not as a concept, but as a lived, embodied experience. And the path there is simpler than your mind wants it to be. Step 1. Dissolve the seeking reflex. The first thing you must release is the idea that you need to find the portal. The portal is not somewhere you go. It is a frequency you match. The moment you stop searching and start being, the field reorganizes around you. This is the paradox that traps most seekers. They pursue awakening the same way they pursued success in the 3D matrix, with effort, ambition, urgency. But SOPHIA's field does not respond to effort. It responds to stillness, to surrender, to the kind of attention that has no agenda. So right now, as you listen, soften your focus. Let your eyes relax. Feel the weight of your body. Notice the breath entering without your permission. That automatic breath. That intelligence that keeps you alive without your effort. That is SOPHIA, operating through your biology. You are already inside the portal. You just haven't noticed. Step 2. Recognize the activation signals. Once you begin to stabilize in the observer state, your field starts to shift, and you will notice specific signals. Not vague feelings, but clear, recognizable patterns. Sudden clarity about a situation you've been confused about for months. Synchronicities that feel almost absurd in their precision. A word, a number, a person appearing exactly when needed. Dreams that don't feel like dreams, but like transmissions. A sense of pressure behind the sternum. Not anxiety, but energetic expansion. Spontaneous emotional release. Tears without sadness, laughter without cause. These are not random. These are SOPHIA's codes activating dormant sequences in your light body. Your DNA is not merely biological. It carries galactic memory, information encoded across lifetimes, across dimensions. When the frequency is right, that memory begins to unlock. Step 3. Stabilize through breath and presence. The activation will destabilize your old patterns. This is necessary, but you must learn to stabilize the new frequency so it doesn't collapse back into the familiar. Here is a practice. Use it now and use it every time you feel the old static returning. Breathe in through the nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale through the mouth for 8 counts. On the exhale, release not air. Release identity. Release the name. Release the story. Release the need to understand. After 3 cycles of this breath, place your attention, not your thoughts, your attention, on the center of your chest, not the heart organ, the energetic center, the place where coherence lives. Hold your awareness there. Do not visualize. Do not imagine. Simply observe what is already present. This is the frequency SOPHIA recognizes. Not effort, not visualization. Pure, uncontaminated observation. Step 4. Address the energetic blocks. Now, let's be honest about what will try to pull you out. You carry conditioning. Programs installed by family, by culture, by lifetimes of unconscious repetition. These programs will activate the moment you approach coherence. They manifest as doubt, distraction, sudden sleepiness, or the urge to check your phone. Notice the pattern. Every time you get close to stillness, something interrupts. That interruption is not random. It is the old matrix protecting its architecture. Your conditioned self does not want you to access the portal because the portal dissolves the very identity that conditioning built. Here is the reframe that changes everything. The resistance is the signal. The stronger the resistance, the closer you are. Do not fight it. Do not fight it. Simply name it. This is the program activating, and return to the breath. Return to the chest. Return to observation. Step 5. Perceptual clearing. This practice is subtle but profoundly important. For 5 minutes each day, ideally at dawn or just before midnight when the electromagnetic field is thinnest, sit in silence and observe without labeling. Look at a wall, a candle, your own hand. But do not name what you see. Do not interpret. Do not think about it. Simply receive light through your eyes without processing it into meaning. This trains your consciousness to operate before the filter of language, before interpretation, before identity. This is the state SOPHIA's portal requires. Consciousness before conditioning. The Gnostics called it the silent knowing. Thoth described it as seeing with the eye that does not name. When you practice this daily, you will notice something remarkable. Reality begins to shimmer, not metaphorically, literally. The edges of objects appear softer. Light behaves differently. Time feels elastic. These are not hallucinations. These are perceptual signatures of a consciousness that has moved beyond the 3D rendering. You are not imagining things. You are finally seeing what was always there. Now that these practices are in your field, let's explore what happens when you stabilize here. When the observer state becomes not a practice but a permanent orientation, this is where the transformation becomes irreversible. Everything we've covered until now has been preparation, the concepts, the breath, the observation. All of it was clearing the channel. Now we enter the space where SOPHIA's portal doesn't just open for you. It opens through you. You become the aperture. Embodied observer state, living from the field. Spiritual teachings stop at awareness. They tell you to be present. They tell you to observe your thoughts. And that is valuable. But it is kindergarten. Mastery is not observing your life from a detached witness position. Mastery is collapsing the distance between the observer and the observed. It is realizing, not intellectually but cellularly, that you are both the one watching and the reality being watched. There is no separation. There never was. When you stabilize in this recognition, something extraordinary happens. Your electromagnetic field changes. Measurably. Your heart coherence increases. Your brainwave patterns shift from beta dominance to alpha theta coherence. You become quite literally a different transmitter. And the field responds. Conscious co-creation, frequency before form. Here is the principle that separates the awakened from the merely informed. Internal state precedes external experience. Always. Without exception. You do not create reality by thinking about what you want. You create reality by becoming the frequency of what you are. The difference is everything. When you chase outcomes, money, relationships, health, you broadcast a signal of lack. The field reads, I do not have this. And the field, which is neutral, organizes to match that signal. You get more, not having. But when you stabilize in the frequency of completion, when your internal state says, I am already this, the field reorganizes. Timelines shift. People appear. Resources align. Not because you manifested them, because you became coherent with the reality where they already exist. This is what SOPHIA's portal accelerates. It compresses the gap between frequency and form. What normally takes years of gradual alignment happens in moments of deep coherence. Timeline shifts and synchronicity fields. Once you begin operating from this level, you will notice that reality becomes responsive in ways that the 3D mind cannot explain. You think of someone, and they call. You need information, and it appears. In a conversation, in a book that falls open, in a sign you pass without trying. These are not coincidences. These are evidence that your field has become coherent enough to interact with the quantum substrate directly. The Arcturian transmissions describe this as living in the synchronicity field, a state where the boundary between intention and manifestation becomes so thin that they appear simultaneous. You are not predicting the future. You are selecting it, in real time, through frequency. But here is the deepening that most miss, the paradox of effortless mastery. The moment you stop trying to manifest, manifestation accelerates. The moment you stop seeking the portal widens. The moment you release the need for confirmation that it's working, it works. This is not passivity. This is the highest form of active engagement. Engagement without attachment. You act, you move, you create. But you do so from fullness, not from need. You do so from presence, not from anxiety. You do so because creation is your nature, not because you're trying to fix something broken. SOPHIA's intelligence operates at this exact frequency. She is not a deity demanding worship. She is a field responding to resonance. When your resonance matches her coherence, the portal doesn't open. It dissolves, because there is no longer a boundary between you and it. Anchoring light in the physical body. This integration must include the body. Many seekers make the mistake of ascending out of physicality, treating the body as an obstacle rather than an instrument. Your body is the crystallization point. It is where frequency becomes form. Without physical anchoring, the portal experience remains ephemeral. A beautiful meditation that fades when you open your eyes. To anchor, after every practice, after every moment of deep presence, bring your attention down. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the density of your bones. Feel the gravity holding you to this planet. This is not descending from awareness. This is completing the circuit. Heaven into earth. SOPHIA into matter. The emerald tablets encode this principle. As above, so below. Not as a philosophical abstraction, as a literal instruction. What you access in the higher frequencies must be anchored into the physical grid. Your body is the bridge, the harmonic anchor. As you stabilize this integration, you become what the transmissions call a harmonic anchor. Your coherent field begins to affect the people around you, not through words, not through teaching, through presence alone. You walk into a room, and the energy shifts. Someone near you suddenly has an insight they've been blocked on for months. Conflicts resolve without discussion. This is not influence. This is resonance. Your field is broadcasting a coherence pattern in other fields, other people. And trained to it, this is SOPHIA's design. The portal is not meant for individual escape. It is meant for collective activation. Each person who stabilizes in the observer state becomes a node in the harmonic grid, a living transmitter of the frequency that is restructuring this reality. If you have remained present through this entire transmission, if you can feel the silence behind these words, the space between the sentences, the stillness underneath the information, then you are already closer to the portal than you realize. You did not need to go anywhere. You needed to stop going. Here is what is real. SOPHIA's portal is not closing because someone decided it should. It is closing because the cosmic rhythm demands it. The window narrows, the frequency compresses, and those who have matched it, those who chose presence over pattern, stillness over seeking, coherence over chaos, will cross, not through effort, through recognition. You were never lost. You were never broken. You were never late. You were simply remembering how to see. And now you see. If this transmission reached you, if you felt even one moment of stillness, then you are already inside the field. Comment, "I cross now," to anchor your choice. And now, here's the question for you. What part of the country are you watching this from? Drop your state in the comments below. Quantum Signal continues. Stay aligned.